Welcome, everyone, to episode 49 of the Circle Back Podcast, the show where three great friends get together and just talk about video games. I'm Dan LaMarca. As always, I'm joined by Dan Dufrenoy.
Hello.
And Shelby White.
How you doing?
And, guys, today is a special episode. It's kind of our supplemental Game of the Year episode. So what we're planning on doing is we picked 5 categories, and we are going to decide the best game design of 2018 and 2 runners-up for each category. Best game design, best art direction, biggest disappointment, best narrative, and best soundtrack of 2018. So those are our 5 categories. I have a list of quote-unquote nominees, which is basically anything that we thought would be qualified to...
Yeah, we were all texting each other.
These are games that we think are some of the best of 2018. So our goal is we're going to get a number 1 and 2 runners-up in each category. So we're going to start with best game design.
Okay.
The things that I've written here are A Way Out, Minute, Return of the Obra Dinn, God of War, Into the Breach, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Astrobot Rescue Mission.
Okay.
So we're not doing this specifically like we did Game of the Year, where we go in a circle and just kind of like, all right, you take one out, you take one out. We're not really doing that. We're kind of just talking about these games and seeing what happens. So
my biggest question when it comes to things like these, and I think especially for like game design or even like soundtrack or whatever, it's interesting when we think of like the best. Like, are we saying objectively like this is the best, or like what's the most unique, or what's the
So these are the Circle Back Awards of 2018. So it's however we want to interpret that.
Whatever we want to do.
But you know what it is? It's even in art direction, when we get to it, I think there's a case that can be made for a game like God of War where the actual direction of the camera can elevate that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just, these are not like hard and fast rules of like, this is how this is. It's up to interpretation.
Right. Okay.
So for game design, for me, I look at a game that does something unique, or I look at a game that does something exactly the way intended. You know what I mean? Like, I look at Into the Breach as like the pinnacle of this category, in my opinion, where it's like it knew what it wanted to do, and it just made a perfect little package where the game, it just has so many little wrinkles that change the game up. Like, it's like, it looks like it's this deep, but it's really like super, super deep, you know?
It's got layers. Like an onion.
Yep, that's
Oh, they make you cry?
that old donkey quote. All right, so what do you guys think out of this list?
So Into the Breach would be your top pick.
Well, I would definitely pick. I would say Into the Breach hangs. I could definitely. I mean, but again, we're looking at a bunch of games here that are really, really great.
Right.
A game like Minute is like a super.
Well,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think this year, and I'm sure other years had this too, but Minute, something completely unique, haven't seen. Even a game like A Way Out.
I was going to say A Way Out was the top of that list, and I haven't played it personally, but I know when you guys talked about it, you were like, the game design is great.
Right.
Just not
It's
executed
something
to perfection.
It's interesting, I think,
The
when
thing-
we talk about
yeah,
this. It's
so-
like, are these game changers where like games afterwards, will have to, you can't make games the same way after.
But
these
that's what I'm saying.
games.
When we weigh these things, like these discussions, they're going to be weighed in each person's mind
or even Astrobot
independently.
too.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, if you're talking about, all right, Return of the Obra Dinn, like, it's such a unique experience. There's never been a game like it.
They're all freaking unique.
So it's like,
experiences.
but what I'm saying is, like, so for me, that may be like, that's why it belongs on this list. But for you, it may be like, like that doesn't hold as much water for me as it does. It's not like a.
I'll have to say, as far as uniqueness, God of War's one-shot style was the most unique thing, but I wouldn't say that makes it the best game design.
No, that's
because
not
it's
game
the
design,
same kind of game as any other slightly open world game.
Right.
Well,
So,
again,
like,
we're not saying most unique game design. So, but that factors in. What I am saying is, when you look at God of War, you're looking at the intricacies of the dungeons, right? Like, I call this like an Ocarina of Time style game where like you're in these micro dungeons pretty much, and you're doing these little puzzles. You're throwing your axe, holding it there. Like, that design is why this is on the list. It's not when we get to art direction, that's when we're talking about the camera. That's when we're talking about. So in my mind, I put it on here because I'm like, it's just so well designed.
Yeah.
The different combat scenarios with the variation in enemies, like. It's just a really well-designed game.
At the same, I think is Red Dead on that list.
Red Dead is on the list.
Same sort of thing. The design's amazing, but I will say the one stipend for me, where I don't think it falls on my list, at least personally, is that there's so much to do, and it's fleshed out and fluid. Okay, you want to go, rob a bank, you can do that. Like, cool, like go for it. But I feel like a lot of it was, and I have to quote myself because I think I said this on the Game of the Year video, but like it felt hollow. I feel like there wasn't
one trick pony.
Yeah, So,
well, the other thing I would say about Red Dead, and I would agree with you, is the menus and the hold L2 and hit this button and do that. That's not well designed.
Yeah,
that's a knock against it in game design.
I didn't like the
opinion.
HUD screen either. Like I hated the lower left, looking at this tiny little gray on gray.
But that kind of stuff can factor into this.
Did you guys ever
exactly.
accidentally ever punch your horse by accident? Trying to
I accidentally shot multiple people.
Brush,
totally.
and then it just
Did it kick you? Did the horse
cross
kick you?
him right in the face.
There's that video where the guy accidentally, Arthur punches the horse and it turns and kicks him right in the head and kills him. Like, it's just hilarious.
Oh, I wish I did that. But no, there were so many times where I went up to greet a person and blew her face off.
Yeah.
No,
I know.
Accident.
But that's why I think Red Dead is the first one to come off this list.
I would take Red Dead off the list.
But I do want to say about Into the Breach, and what I would agree with you is, it's so impeccably designed where there's always a solution. I mean, you just got to be,
So here's the one thing: there's not though, because they don't know exactly. Like, if you can get overrun by not killing enemies.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there can be 6 enemies attacking buildings, and you just don't have enough.
I just feel like there's enough permutations at least.
There's so many permutations.
But that's what I mean, and that's amazing. And like they give you that sort of like playground to like play with that.
Definitely.
Which took a lot of involvement to get done. So I think that definitely up there for me. Also, I'd put A Way Out. For me, the A Way Out was one of the most unique games of the year, purely on design, and I think it really should we should give a look at or a nod to. I
agree with A Way Out because I think it does a lot of really interesting stuff with game design, and we've talked about, like, I hope, how many times did I say, man, if Naughty Dog was given these...
Right, the writing.
If Naughty Dog wrote it, and it was the same game...
The game of the year.
It would be the game of the year. Like, it's such a smartly designed, like, interesting thing. But the thing I will say is, not all of those little, quote-unquote, mini-games that the game takes part of with your co-op partner
playing basketball
are very good.
Kid,
you know what I'm saying? But you're rowing down the river. It's not well designed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of where, for me, I think it might fall off this list personally because it's more of like if this was like most innovative ideas, it might win it. But for me, I think I like what it did, and that's why it's talked about here. But I don't think it really nails everything it's trying to do.
So let's talk about some of the other games that are on the list. What else was on there?
So Minute's on the list. And Minute is a tough one to talk around because I think it's so good and I have nothing bad to say about its game design.
Because coming off Into the Breach, you're like, they went for something and they nailed it. They went for that Game Boy aesthetic, and that's exactly what it is. You get that frame to frame. There's nothing, they nailed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at the same time, it's like, is it not as intricate as some of the other games on this list?
But and then that poses the question: does it have to be? Because
they're not doing anything new.
But it doesn't have to be. But that's why I'm saying. But do we feel as strongly about Minute in this game design category as Return of the Obra Dinn, God of War, Into the Breach, Astrobot? You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's the problem.
I'm not saying it's off right now, but I am saying it's hard when you start talking about it in comparison with other games.
I think Minute falls off on that for that reason too.
Unfortunately,
as much as I love,
I agree. Because even looking at Obra Dinn, like that, personally,
I think that's got to be
that tops. That's up there.
I agree. And I think I also would agree with Into the Breach. I think just so many permutations,
and the fact, and there's 8 different squads. And they completely change the game.
Yeah.
Each time you play with a new squad, it almost feels like a brand new game. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a unique thing.
Because that's like replayability. That game is so huge on.
Yeah.
And I think that's all design. I mean, obviously aesthetics added to it, but Obra Dinn. So
now the interesting one on this list. So we'll leave Minute on just for now. I personally think A Way Out is getting knocked off. I don't know what you guys think.
Okay. I just want to give it a nod.
I'm happy it's here. That's what I'm saying. I'm happy it's here because I'm not thrilled with the entire package, but I think its ideas on design are really, really interesting.
That's the one I spent 0 time with. Right. So I that's up.
Kudos to Ferris.
Ferris. And his brother Joseph Ferris. Who's the director.
Oh, Joseph Ferris was the director. Yeah. Gotcha.
The one that we haven't talked about yet is Astrobot Rescue Mission. A game that we all love. Yeah. There's an interesting case to be made with the fact that it is in VR and it utilizes that VR super well. Mm-hmm. From something as small as you need to like turn your head to see something,
that's
or
so cool.
Something as big as like you're shooting out shurikens at the big boss. You know what I mean? Like it's a really well designed game. You know what I mean? But it gets hard because we have 5 games on this list. We need to make it 3.
I think what it utilizes with the VR, and I know you guys have said how it turns you onto the VR. Me, I've never purchased a VR, but having played it at your house, I would definitely purchase a VR just for Astrobot. Right.
That's what I'm saying. Even in my top 10 list, I said I felt spoiled playing this first. And really, it's impeccable as far as design, going for what it's going for in that Mario sense with this new look. Being able to turn your head, like there's some chameleons in the game where you're not going to find unless you turn around. Mm-hmm. Like you're not going to get it unless you turn around. Listening to the friggin' Astrobots that you have to rescue, like not only that, I know that borders on sound, but it's just like they did everything really well, and then being able to physically use your controller as an aspect of the game.
Yeah, and the thing that you got to be careful with talking about it in that context is there are other games that use the controller physically in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not wholly like yes, they do it well.
Yeah, it's just one aspect of many.
Yeah. I would say like the way, like the actual level design is why this game really shines on this. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing. So let's just say it wasn't in VR. I think it would hold up with like a Mario 64.
I think it would be
in a linear way.
Yeah.
The thing about it is the fact that it's hard because I think if it wasn't in VR, it wouldn't be the same, but it would still be a good game.
That's what I mean. I think it's still a fantastic
I don't think it would be.
I don't think it'd be on our list.
I don't think we'd be elevating it like this.
But the fact that it is in VR and they're utilizing that as
and they do it so
the
well.
central aspect, is that what we push into the top 3? I mean, the 2 nominees as opposed to the...
So now, let's get rid of Minute. I think...
A Minute can go. So now
we're down to 4. God of War is the other one. We Into the Breach and Oberdin seem pretty strong here. And then God of War and Astrobot.
It's so interesting because I think we talked about God of War and the one shot. I think that's super unique and super well
I do
done.
think that's art direction, though. I don't think that's
if that falls in art direction.
Okay.
But taking...
Personally.
I can't remember what they're called, but the different, like when you shift in God of War to these new worlds, like it's incredible. Like as you're watching it, you're going it, and now you have this whole new level design.
Again, and that's again slides into art direction, though. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of like what I really want to emphasize with God of War was like the actual gameplay and the actual puzzle solving and the dungeon design kind of thing. That's the stuff that I'm talking about here, where it's like...
And you're right, it's very Ocarina of Time-esque.
It is, and it does it super well. And I don't know.
So just really what we give kudos.
Yeah, it's hard. And Into the Breach and Oberdin are not guaranteed, but we have 4 here. We got to make it 3.
Yeah.
So one of them's got to go. What are you guys thinking? What's your first thought? Oberdin, God of War, Into the Breach, Astrobot.
See, when I think of Oberdin, Into the Breach, and Astrobot, what's so interesting is I think design right away. Like I think design right away has certain aspects that make it, something. Oh, you should try this. Like go try it. Like, that's really cool. Like give this a shot. I don't think that with God of War. God of War, I take it as more of a. I don't play the game for the dungeon. I think that the story was compelling in many areas.
Right.
And
but could that same sort of thing be made? Like, and don't get me wrong, I love Astrobot, but it's other than the VR aspect, it is another 3D platform.
Exactly, but I think
something we haven't seen before.
Right, exactly.
It's the VR that adds that a little extra element.
When if I'm talking to someone, let's just say, someone never played video games and they're like, I want to play every, great game, 2018 or whatever. But when I talk about Into the Breach, Oberdin, and Astrobot, it would be because of those design. I don't want to say gimmicks, but like those design aspects of it.
Yeah.
So for me, that would be my push to say those. Wow, Astrobot, try that. That's an incredible.
Experience.
You don't play a game like that. And though God of War is the same sort of thing, you won't play a game like it. It's its own unique entity. You know, like you already said that we compared it to Ocarina of Time.
And again, but what I want to say also is, I mean, with Into the Breach, it's like there's been Advance Wars, Fire Emblem.
Yeah,
like,
but
it's borrowing
so
off something.
well done, though.
It is. But that's why I'm saying this isn't most unique. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that can be part of it, but it's not the only factor.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough one for me here. I personally say definitely Into the Breach, Oberdin are on here, and then we're stuck between the other two.
Between the other two.
What are you leaning towards with the other two, Shel?
I kind of lean towards. I don't know. It's tough.
It is tough.
That's a tough one.
Because I really like God of War in this category because, like I said, I did go back. Like I was like the game was helping me go for the different. Just be careful, Paul.
Oh yeah.
I do like the different level designs of each realm. When you go down into hell and stuff like that, like now you have a different aspect. You got these ghost-like things going on. You know, like every area you go to feels totally different. You have a different not technique, but approach to what you have to do in that area, sort of. Other than like obviously throwing the axe and doing all that stuff. But then when you're inside the mountain, now you're figuring out ways to climb to get up the mountain. So I do think I kind of agree with you in the sense that God of War slightly edges out Astro Bot
I'm okay with
as
that.
far as game design.
Yeah, I think so. I think so personally.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that too. No, I'm
I think all. I
love God of War.
They're the last four for a reason.
Strong kudos to every game that was on that list to start with. You know, like
yeah, and that's the thing. We're not in Game of the Year. We put every game we ever played this year.
Yeah,
this is like we curated this mini list because we think that these games are great for this category.
The creme de la creme.
Yeah. All right, so we have our top three. Which one do you think wins? I'm gonna go ahead and say it's not God of War based on the fact that it was teetering.
And I know I think basing on taking every aspect and nailing it perfectly, through the discussion, I think Into the Breach tops that.
What do you think?
Yeah, though I wouldn't be...
Unless you want to make a case for Oberdin. I know you spent more time with that than we did.
Yeah, no, I did, but I could see Into the Breach winning this for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad. I think Oberdin had to be on this for sure, but I think Into the Breach is just such an impeccable, like, perfectly designed game. Like, could not ask for any more.
Awesome. So I think we got our list for that one, for sure.
So, best game design of 2018. Congrats to Into the Breach.
Good job, Into the Breach.
Runners up, Return of the Oberdin and God of War.
Man, look at you. You're on like a nickname basis with that game.
It's my game of the year, man. All right, on to the next category.
Okay.
Best art direction of 2018.
Okay, here we go.
Here are the lists. Gris, Florence, God of War, Celeste, Return of the Oberdin, Red Dead Redemption 2, Below, Ashen, Into the Breach, Marvel Spider-Man, The Banner Saga 3, Deltarune, and The Messenger.
Oof.
Anything jump out at you guys?
Gris has, and I've said it last time, Gris for me.
I know. The hard part is, like, we're going to say right away, we're going to be like, these two have to be on here. And then we have all these other great games. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard. I would be stunned if Gris was not on the top three here.
Right, I agree. I think we could take out...
The first three that jump out to me, personally, with these are Florence, Gris, and Return of the Oberdin, as far as art direction.
I'm with you.
The first three that jump out.
So what I was going to say is, Gris and Oberdin, how are they not going to be on this?
I'm with
you. Look at the rest of these games.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, they're all...
Red Dead Redemption 2, how is that not
it's
one of the best
beautiful.
art direction of the year? You know what I mean?
Like
that.
Spider-Man too. Spider-Man as well, I feel like. Spider-Man was...
God of War, we were just talking about the one-shot camera style. You know what I mean?
We just do this to ourselves just because we...
No, it's tough because then you take a look at, like, Gris and Florence, who kind of have that 2D paper.
Yeah.
Gris is more watercolor. Sort of design, and it's gorgeous to look at. Of course it's gorgeous. You would look at a painting that looked like that and say it's absolutely stunning. And then you take a 3D aspect of games like Red Dead Redemption 2 or God of War and stuff like that, and you're like, wow, just look at the beauty in this world. And then you look at an art direction like Oberdin, and you're like, this is something so different, you know? Like, what did he call it? Like 1 pixel?
Yeah, it's like pointillism style.
You know, like he created something new.
He calls it 1 bit, and Lucas Pope calls it 1 bit.
1 bit pointillism?
Yeah, like 1 bit instead of like 8 bit, 16 bit, he calls it 1 bit.
So it's like,
That's why art's like so super subjective because like for me.
Well, yeah, I mean lists in general are subjective.
Well,
it's gonna be.
You know what I mean? So like a thing like a God of War, Red Dead or Spider-Man, like that style, like beautiful.
Have similar art styles, but are different in their own aspects.
Right, and like beautiful. Game. But like my, something like Gris, I was like, oh my gosh,
Gris is kind of like made for this category, though. You know what I mean? Like it can't not be on. That would be crazy. This game is.
Oberdin too.
Yeah,
and Oberdin has its own.
What else on the list? I feel like
Florence, God of War, Celeste, Red Dead, Below, Ashen, Into the Breach, Spider-Man, Banner Saga 3, Deltarune, and The Messenger.
This is really hard.
See, differences in the 3D games that we're talking about in particular. I look at Red Dead Redemption 2 and I'm like, yes, obviously beautiful, but you're creating humans, you're creating Wild West, things we've seen before. Whereas a game like God of War, when you see this world serpent, you're like,
oh my god,
look at this thing. You're inside the world serpent.
These giant
these enemies
frozen
that have stuff. Yeah, the giant that gets up.
I
look at that and I look at that art direction like this is more creative to me.
Yeah.
And I would.
But man, Red Dead is so beautiful. The cinematography in that game, like some of the
walking to Braithwaite Manor.
That scene,
it was like the freaking Wild
West. With it burning and you're walking down.
Really? I saw a picture of the real place. It's based on a real place.
And all of them, like the freaking Magnificent Seven.
So should we start cutting some of these other ones then? If we're
some of the ones that we haven't been.
Yeah, I think.
I love Celeste.
Yeah,
I feel like
but
I love Celeste, but I don't think that's gonna hang with the rest.
Amazing.
And
I love
the
that.
thing
The
thing I want to say about it too, though, with Celeste is not only is it beautiful 8-bit style, but the portraits. I really like the art in the portraits and the way they
the selfies and stuff like that.
That stuff is really beautiful.
It is.
And like end of chapter, screenshots
amazing.
and stuff,
it's
like beautiful.
The 3D around the mountain. Yeah,
it's just hard to compete with.
It's hard with this category. The Messenger, I think, is sort of in the same.
Yeah, Messenger same time.
Even though it has that
the way
switch,
it flips, man, that
shit.
shift.
Even though it has that switch,
that's cool.
It's so cool.
That's cool.
The fact that it does that so seamlessly.
Yeah. That is cool.
But again, I don't think it's gonna hang with all these guys.
Which is tough because in a different year it would have been maybe
right. Probably
that's what's hard.
Yeah.
Baby.
Like last year, I'd say the Messenger and Celeste would have been.
I would also say Deltarune can go in this. I love the art style. I think it's great. I love what they did, kind of changing it a little bit.
Yeah.
From Undertale, but I don't think it's going to hang here.
Ashen. Talk about Ashen.
So Ashen, the reason Ashen's on here. Have you played any more of it or no?
I haven't. I've had other
stuff.
So
Ashen has the very flat, cel shaded graphics, which is beautiful in its own right. But similar to I love this moment. I love Dark Souls. It's one of my favorite games ever. But when you first get to that area where there's the castle and everything's just different, like you never had that kind of environment before, and you're like, holy shit, like I didn't even know something like Anor Londo could exist, you know what I mean? And then you get up that lift and you walk out, it's sunny, there's just shit, like this has a moment like that, and it does it beautifully. And again, it is derivative of that moment, so it doesn't hit quite as hard. Because that really was kind of like a one-of-a-kind, like very unique moment in gaming to me. Ashen does a very similar thing in like an homage type of way. I would also say just some of the surprising stuff. Like I mentioned when we were talking Game of the Year, I think, the giant that's underwater and like you go to this area, you're talking to this woman and they're like, oh, you want to speak to her? And she comes out of the water like right in front of your face, so huge, really, really cool looking. The thing the reason I'm going to take it off, I think it can hang with these games, but it does have some graphical bugs, pretty blatant ones. And I played, being that I played through the whole game and I experienced the whole thing, I could see it going from here.
Okay.
The one that's going to be hard to see go is Below.
Oh, yeah.
Because just think about, man, that game is all style and ambiance. Like, that is what that game is. And, walking up and you have the first cave you walk into and it's got the doorway that's
massive,
100 feet tall, but it's the same width as you, and you're like, what is this for? You know what I mean? It's full of that kind of shit, and it's just so the art design in that game.
If you think it hangs,
I mean, it really is. It's something different, and it's the first thing you notice when you start playing the game. You're like, whoa,
Yeah.
like this is cool.
Well, that opening scene, dude.
That's what I mean, it really
that
with the
opening
boat,
scene.
and he wasn't kidding. It's like
literally 5 full minutes, and it's the slowest
slow
zoom.
pan in. Like
and when you first see it, it looks like a little fucking speck of salt on your table. Like, you don't even know what it is, and then it's just like super slow zoom. It's just so like that's why I'm saying art direction. Like we're talking about not only the way it looks, but the things around the edges of it, and like I don't know, man.
It's so wide to where you see. And
I'm sorry, I'm gonna spoil, but not spoil too much. But there are some areas in this game. There's an area that I got to a week ago or so where it was like futuristic looking.
Oh yeah.
And there are like pillars that like come up to make hallways like around you as you're walking, and it's like technology. Like it's weird,
That's
man.
cool.
There's like little drones flying around, like. But it's all like there's like a big desert area that's just beautiful. Like
have you finished? Have you finished it?
No.
Almost.
No.
Oh.
So I found out I got into the final area, but I didn't get up to the boss.
All right.
But man, I don't know. Again,
I say keep it for now.
We're gonna keep it for now,
Yeah.
but
No,
that's
sure.
like it's gonna be tough.
tough.
Where are we sitting at right now? As far as
So we have a lot here.
all right, so let's start.
We still have a lot.
Yeah, let's start cutting.
We did just cut a couple. I cut Ashen. So between Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption, and God of War.
I vote God of War.
I vote God of War between the three of them. It's a tough cut though.
It could be.
It is a tough
It's not
cut.
that there has to be one of them, but looking at some of these other games, I don't see
Yeah.
how.
Yeah, I
it's
feel like
like-
there's gonna be a 3D.
Just the three of them being, I don't want to say similar, but you know what I mean.
It's a-
Well,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
third-person 3D
Yeah.
action games, you know.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, do you guys agree?
And it's tough because,
Yeah.
like, I mean, you look at Spider-Man 2. I know we didn't speak about it, but you're like flying off the top of a skyscraper
Oh, man,
with
so
this,
cool. Yeah.
and
those
almost-
light blooms,
That's
like
what I
the
mean.
yeah.
And
talking about-
anytime it's
yeah.
during the day, it's like you have this beautiful sunset going on.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a gorgeous
Oh, it
game.
is. Yeah.
You know.
I'll read the list for what it is now. I think there's still a couple that we can get off here, but we have Gris, Florence, God of War, Return of the Obra Dinn, Below, Into the Breach, and the Banner Saga 3.
So talk about Banner Saga real quick and how you feel.
I mean, the thing about this game is it's a lot of still images, but it's literally hand painted, like beautiful, like hand drawn, like old Disney, like what's the one?
like Snow White, Cinderella.
Yeah, like
Dumbo.
But it has that. What's the one with Maleficent, Sleeping
Sleeping
Beauty?
Yeah.
It looks like that. You know what I mean? Where like it just looks, it's just so beautiful and so detailed. The detractor for me, as the only one that has played it, is Banner Saga 1 and 2 have the same art style
Okay.
as
Okay,
this.
so
So it doesn't make it worse, but it makes it less impactful, I would say. So I
Sort of
would
like
cut
a
that.
Deltarune sort of thing, where it's not
Yeah.
exactly the same, but sort of similar to
Right,
its
yeah.
predecessor.
This one is literally exactly the same. Like,
Okay.
But that's not a bad thing. They're beautiful.
No, not at all.
So now we're down to 5?
We're down to 6 still.
So I know it's your baby, but Into the Breach, do you think it hangs with this? I know its art style is perfect in the way the game is
Yeah,
trying
it's a
to
really
express
cool art
it.
style.
It's
yeah.
so beautiful though. Like the sprites are so well designed, and the way they just like move a little bit,
Yeah,
like
it's
the
got
motion
this-
that it has.
Like it's breathing almost
Yeah,
sort
oh.
of thing.
And then the little portraits of all the pilots
Yeah,
and
it's cool.
all the enemies,
Yeah.
and the when they cut to the screen of like the CEOs and stuff.
Seriously, as a whole package, Into the Breach is perfect.
Yeah,
And,
I know.
There's really nothing to say bad about it.
No.
I
I know there's a lot of games on here that
There's a lot of games.
Just
out
because
there.
I feel like it is a slight step up with the cellular thing to Celeste and the Messenger. It's better than those, I think.
Well,
but
it's just
in its blockiness to. That's it. That's the only reason I'm saying.
Well, I would also say
you
not
know.
all sprite based stuff is the same art style. Even you know what I mean? Like I don't know if that's necessarily. I get what you mean though.
No,
in
I
a similar
know.
way that I like was reductive by saying which one of these three third person games. I get what you mean.
Yeah.
But I think it can probably go.
I think again,
compared
it's one of those things,
again, you're comparing it to these other games, and I think
that are specifically aimed at art direction.
Right.
You know, like yeah.
well, like I said, I don't see a world where Gris and Obra Dinn are not on
That's
here.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we still have
Do you think?
three others, and for one spot. You know what I
Do you
mean?
think we get rid of I Love Florence? Do you think we get rid of Florence?
Yeah, I do.
I think just again, same sort of thing compared to the other
Yeah.
games on there.
I love Florence.
And it's a game that I think excels on art design and sound design, but it's looking at Gris in particular in a sort of similar thing, but one that's almost way more.
Yeah, it's hard.
It, you know,
and I think you said it before. Dan said it before. Like Gris's thing was art design.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's the thing, man. Like it is gorgeous.
Yeah.
That game is beautiful.
Even the trailer was aimed at making you go, whoa, look
that's
how
why I
beautiful
watched
this
it.
game
I was
is,
like,
you know,
oh my
like,
gosh, that looks. That's
no. I think they
And
show
then-
you jump
so-
a couple of times in the trailer, and that's about
With
it.
the rest
getting-
is just, you know, the
Art,
beauty. Yeah.
just art.
With getting rid of Florence, we're down to 4, and I think it's an uphill battle fighting for Below over God of War, so I'm just gonna take out Below. I think it's awesome, and it does it really, really well. But this was a particularly great year for this, and I find it to be hard for God of War to not be on this list.
Yeah.
Just based on a multitude of things, like you said. Even an example is like when you're putting the Bifrost in, and it's like all the stuff is like transforming, like the
even
light
when you
shooting
open up the
through.
map and you see that fallen giant,
Yeah,
you know,
it's-
Everything. It's just.
Yeah. And so we have our 3.
turtle coming out of the ground.
You think Gris
No,
wins?
the freaking. I just. Oh my gosh.
You think Gris wins it?
I would vote for Gris. I think for me personally, Gris of all the games, aesthetically was just,
Dude, even the way
Beautiful,
that
just
bird,
beautiful.
that bird boss, the way it like the way it like
that
inkily
game.
transforms
Oh,
and stuff,
man.
like
I mean, I didn't play it. I think between that and Oberdin, personally, it's a tough one. But you guys, if you're both saying that,
if you want to vouch for Oberdin.
Well, I think
I just think I love what Oberdin looks like and how it it's just beautiful.
It's so striking.
And then when you turn into those backstory, like when you're watching all these things unfold and you're just walking around to all these people that are just frozen.
and everything's
Yeah,
frozen,
yeah,
the
yeah.
raindrops are
Yeah,
frozen and
That's
stuff.
so
Yeah,
cool.
I agree.
You know,
It's awesome. It's
got this very
and
like.
two things that are so completely different uniquely. You know,
Yeah.
like it's.
What's got this like German expressionism, like early 1920s, like Nosferatu kind of, Caligari kind of,
no, I
It's a tough call between the two of them.
Well, you know what it is? It's so stark too, right? So you got this,
all 3 of these
dark and
and. Well, was Gris dark or was it more?
Well, there were actually Gris did have dark.
there were
areas,
certainly
but,
dark
but
moments and dark.
Like
What I
underwater
would give-
moments and stuff like that.
What I would
yeah.
give Gris though, I feel like there were distinct chapters where they went for it was the same art style but different. Each time you're going for like a different color, different orbit, a different color, and that just added so many layers to each world. Just became
More
its
onions.
own unique thing. More onions.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think Gris wins.
Gris wins. All right.
I think Gris wins it on the shoulders of that last area that
Oh man,
that blew me away compared to the rest of the game. And it's all beautiful, but
Gris is like layers, onions.
all right, so we're going to say Gris, congrats. You had the best art direction of 2018.
I agree.
God of War and Return of the Oberdin runners up.
Cool.
God of War and Return of the Oberdin were also runners up in our first category, Best Game Design.
Wow. Well, they did it pretty good. God of War was the game of the year.
Not bad.
Those are pretty good games.
Yeah.
Pretty good games. All right, moving on to the next category. Biggest disappointment of 2018. We only have 4 games on this list, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they are Vampire. That's why I should have said Gris.
So long as he about it.
So we've been calling it Vampire, so we'll stick with it. Vampire, A Way Out, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Sea of Thieves. So this is an interesting list because a game that was on our top 10 is on the biggest disappointments. And that's Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
And the reason, so disappointment's relative, right?
It's all relative.
So when you go into it thinking, hey, this is probably going to be my game of the year.
who was most hyped for this game? I was.
Well,
That was my one game
But that's what I'm saying. When we're all going into it being like, wow, this is like going to be the best game of the year. It's going to be up there. And then it kind of left us all a little lukewarm. Obviously it's a great game, but a great game can still be the biggest disappointment.
No, exactly. It still fell on my top 10, but still, I was like you. I thought that it would be my number one, hands down.
Right.
And it wasn't. And there was the things that I liked about it, I really, really liked, and then the things that I didn't like about it, I really, really didn't like. So it just kind of like ended up being this sort of like plateau,
Yeah.
When I look at this list, I didn't play it, but the one that I saw a lot of hype for, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 had the most hype out of any game on this list.
Any game of the last 10 years.
But I look at it and I see a game like Sea of Thieves where I saw all this hype for this game, and then as soon as it came out, it was just done.
Sea of Thieves is definitely going to be on the list, if not winning it. That was a huge disappointment.
I look at the other games and I'm like, some people, unlike us, loved Red Dead Redemption 2, like that's not a worldwide thing. Whereas I look at Sea of Thieves and I'm like, people, it just dropped.
Yeah.
And people were like,
it is our list, though.
Yeah. No, exactly. It is our list.
I know what you're saying, though.
But no, see, that feeling in Red Dead 2, that sort of feeling, I think, were very, very similar. I think Red Dead, the game was, had enough merits to sort of say, okay, well, it's
Carry
so good.
Yeah.
But man, how many?
But as far, like I said,
millions of copies did it sell?
When you're sitting at number one and then it drops to that, it's like it's a lot different. Than,
right, exactly. I think we could take, even though I put it on the list, Vampire. Vampire for me personally, I was very, very excited for.
Well, do you think? I'm saying Red Dead's gonna be on the list. Sea of Thieves are gonna be on the list. Yes. So what's our third? Do you think A Way Out should be on here instead of Vampire?
I like The Way Out more than Vampire, but I don't know. I know you like Vampire, and for me personally, I was very much excited for Vampire and was immediately disappointed. I really, really wanted to like it, but that feeling of that pit drop, just like, oh my gosh, this sucks, or I really don't like, was definitely Red Dead, and as far as everybody I talked to was Sea of Thieves. Not that I didn't like Red Dead. Yeah. But there was enough moments where I'm just like, I don't want to play this game anymore.
The reason that I would agree so not only me, I really like Vampire. I think it's a very good game, but A Way Out, it's from the guy that made Brothers, right. And I love Brothers.
Oh yeah.
And then this game came out, and hearing it and seeing trailers, I'm like, wow, like this game looks so cool. Like I was really excited for it. That's why for me. Even with, like I said, I like Vampire, so I can't really speak to that part of it. But A Way Out for me is just very disappointing.
So I'm actually so good. So we'll get rid of Vampire, and then we have
Vampire's gone. We have our 3. And what do you think? Sea of Thieves? For me, so I played about 10 hours of Sea of Thieves. It's free on Game Pass still, and it was when it came out. I got into it day one. I was excited. I wanted to check it out, and I was just supremely disappointed by that game. It just was not. It was not what I wanted it to be, and I don't know if that's my fault or if it's their fault, but this is a game by Rare, Like, this is a Rare game. I love Rare games.
I feel like it was a No Man's Sky situation.
So it was, obviously on a much smaller scale, but the thing about it is it did what it said it was going to do, but what it didn't do was exceed anybody's expectations in any way at all. So it said, you're going to be on a boat with your friends. Everybody has to do different things to make the boat go. You're going to go find buried treasure and blah, blah, blah. And that's exactly what it was, and that's all it was. Everyone was like, oh, man, what if there are quest lines? What if there's it? Like, everyone's getting excited. That's why your No Man's Sky thing is apt, because it's like, that's exactly what happened with No Man's Sky, where everyone's prognosticating was actually the thing that they were disappointed by, rather than what they were saying.
Yeah, what they were saying was, you're gonna.
You're hyping yourself.
Because they were looking at all these extra possibilities that could have been.
Those possibilities weren't even there. Yeah.
Nobody even promised those.
Exactly.
So the game developers are just like, well, shit.
Well, but when you. I don't know. There's culpability there, but I think personally, Sea of Thieves is definitely my most disappointing game of the year.
I'm fine with that. Good, put it on there.
All right. So,
numero uno for that one.
Sea of Thieves.
Congratulations.
Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is our biggest disappointment of 2018, with runners-up, A Way Out, and Red Dead Redemption 2.
I think Red Dead's really, really interesting, and I think we all agree with.
It left a sour taste in a lot of mouths, and I think that's why it deserves to be on this list.
Yeah. All right. So we are moving on to the next category, which is Best Narrative.
Ooh.
So this one, again, we don't have too many nominees. We kind of culled them back a little bit, but these are some pretty strong ones. We have God of War, Celeste, Wander Song, Red Dead Redemption 2, Marvel Spider-Man, and Deltarune. So, again, we have the big 3 third-person ones.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying... I could see 2 of these making it, but I'm just saying I think the odd man out in this is Spider-Man.
I agree with Spider-Man, yeah.
So
I mean, Spider-Man was super fun.
I really
I was literally
enjoyed it.
about to make a case as to why the other two would be over that, because since we just talked about it 2 categories ago, and so I'm glad you said it.
Yeah. Now the other thing that I'll say is Red Dead Redemption 2 has really high highs and really low lows, where they have side quests that are like awful and terrible,
and just not even like the
so on the nose,
epilogue
like
is just
Which is funny because you could just split that up into its own 40-hour game of good shit.
yeah.
I would,
that's why-
if Rockstar edited it and took out all of the filler and just had 3 chapters and a 5 quest epilogue,
Yeah.
that would have been.
I agree, but I think a lot of people wouldn't agree. That's the problem.
I know, but
I would think you would have a lot of people going, I want more. You know, like
True. I guess maybe I'm used to
Stop
shorter
being a
games.
spoiled
I don't know.
No, I never really got to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2 on our Game of the Year thing, but it's just such a missed opportunity in my opinion, because you see the old Rockstar and something brand new that they're trying to do, and the new stuff is all fucking awesome. And when they slip into old Rockstar, it sucks. It really fucking sucks. And that's why for me, I don't think you can pick and choose from a game and say this 20 hours is the best narrative of the year. Otherwise, that would win it probably.
Right, so it's a whole.
So when you're taking it as a whole package, I think that
comes
goes
off.
from this list
Then
personally.
God of War 2. We've talked about God of War. How the
What do you think?
I agree with you, because there are too many of those low points, and I'll stick up for it in a moment and say that Arthur Morgan's story is a great story.
Yeah.
Man, did you guys get that scene with the nun on the train platform?
Which one?
Like, it was part of the main story, I believe.
Yeah.
That woman that in Saint Denis, you go to the church and you have to like chase someone down.
Oh wait,
or
yeah. When
something.
one of the guys was,
and then at some
leaving
point,
the train, right? When one of the guys you were saying goodbye to him, he
and then you sat down,
yeah,
and talked to her. That moment was like super emotional and really nailed home like what this game was about. Where he sits down and he's like, I'm dying, and he just tells her, because the dude is never open with anybody except for his journal, and it's like he just tells her, and he's like, I don't know what to do because I haven't, I'm a bad person and whatever, and she like basically is like, no, you're not, like, from the moment I met you, like I don't care what you did in the past. Like, it was just such a like brilliant moment that it's like, man, like this game could have been the game I wanted it to be. It could have been one of my favorite games ever. Like, it's really that. When it's good, it's that fucking good. Yeah. And that story of Arthur Morgan is really fucking good.
I agree.
I'm kind of talking myself into leaving it.
Yeah, it's like he has a great story arc, and
but then you look at the side quest with the electric chair, and you look at the side quest with Mr. Black and Mr. White, and shit like that, and it's like even parts of the main quest.
Oh, there's just
like,
so where you do
what the fuck is going
reason.
on?
Exactly.
When you're in the epilogue, and John, the whole point of the epilogue is John's trying to go straight. He doesn't want a life of crime anymore, and blah, 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 blah. And then John's like, I'm going to buy this ranch, and whatever. I'm going to fix it up. And it's like, well, let's go in the woods and kill 40 people because they're dangerous and they're nearby. It's like, what are we doing?
It's too much. And for the payoff.
And that's exactly what we're talking about with the highs and the lows. Like
it just,
and the payoff of the epilogue, great, but it needed to be shorter. Not to be a spoiled brat.
No,
but.
well, no, I'm kidding. I was kidding when I said that.
Listen, especially the epilogue, though. That should have been shorter. There's no, I don't know who's going to argue that.
Jesus Christ.
No, but I even think, there are certain chapters I feel like there was no
substance.
Just take it out.
Even the Guarma stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have done completely.
It's an interesting idea.
Stuff.
It's an interesting idea.
It creates a landscape. It creates like an environment.
Cool, yes, it's cool in that way, but it's totally
irrelevant to what.
Completely irrelevant. The only point of relevancy was it kind of
Dutch doing what he did.
Not only Dutch's moments in it, but it kind of brought to light that this dream of a tropical island that Dutch keeps talking about is bullshit.
Yeah.
And everyone was in it, everyone was believing it, and then they went to this Guarma and they're like, holy shit. Like, I don't know, guys.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like, the more I think about it, like, yes, super low lows and super high highs, but when I'm looking at the rest of these, like, we have God of War, Celeste, Wander Song, Red Dead 2, and Deltarune. So I'm going to say Deltarune has got to go because it has such an excellent narrative, but it's very dependent on the first game.
Yes. I'm okay
personally.
with that.
I love that game. That's one of the 5 games that was my number 11 this year. Where I'm like, what the fuck? How is this not gonna be on my list? I don't understand. I love this game, but yeah, I don't think it hangs with the rest of these. But now we're looking at God of War, Celeste, Wandersong, and Red Dead 2, and it's tough because Shelby, especially, you know how Dan and I feel about Celeste and Wandersong.
Yeah,
I couldn't see a world where those aren't on
I know
there.
that's really tough.
I mean, I think Celeste does have a great narrative.
Yeah.
It tells a story and it tells it well. You know,
I think
Wandersong is where you guys, if
Right.
you guys
That's
feel
the
it needs to
thing.
be
And
there,
again,
then I'll agree with you.
Wandersong is purely the way that Chris was purely, aesthetic. Wandersong is purely
Pretty much all about the narrative.
Yeah.
and it's so. And
That's the
it
thing.
hits
If they nail what they're trying to do in the
Oh,
narrative, then by all means,
That's a near
put 'em up
perfect story.
Because I
there's
will-
like
It's a great
20.
story.
There's like 20 moments
there.
that
Yeah. I mean, looking at the
just-
list, I already thought Celeste would be one of the top 10.
Yeah.
for
But that's
sure.
why I'm saying now that we're getting down to it, if we're talking about narrative, are we saying we like God of War's narrative better than Red Dead Redemption?
I
2?
think, and I know you've touched on it quite a bit. The ending of God of War and
Yeah.
the way that they handle Freya's character, I think that totally ruins that just ruins everything that you were going for, trying to say something new and trying to be fresh and not be like those old games.
So we're talking about one low compared to Red Dead.
And
I
that's
think
the
that-
thing,
Many.
yeah. But this is where the discussion is going to come in big, because it is all about what is more important to you. And what I would personally say is the highs of Red Dead Redemption 2 are way higher than anything in God of War, personally. And I think God of War as a total package, as a game, is a much better game. I love that game. That's what I'd say. My personal number 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And it's like Red Dead wasn't even on it. And there's a
Right.
reason for that. But when I'm going through and I'm thinking about these narrative moments in Red Dead Redemption 2, I think they might be more impactful than the story as a whole of God of War. Even without, I'm saying, there's bad shit in Red Dead 2, and I almost was talking about cutting it before, but now I'm thinking about it, and I'm saying God of War, even at its best, its narrative itself is not that
cool,
good.
yeah.
It's really not that good.
It's an interesting concept. Here's a character that we all know.
And they do it well.
Yeah, it's a
And
great
now he has
story.
to- yeah.
It really is.
But it's
especially,
not-
but not.
It's when it's as a total package, when you're looking at the direction of it, when you're looking at the beautiful graphics of Norse mythology, the gameplay is great. It's no doubt about it in my mind. It's a better game than Red Dead Redemption 2. But when we're talking about just narrative, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 has more to offer in that front, and I think it nails it better, even with the detriment of when it does it poorly.
I concur with that.
Personally.
No, I concur with that. You're completely right, because as I said before, Arthur Morgan's story is a great story.
I think Arthur Morgan's one of the
That's
most
what I'm saying.
It's
realized
such a good
characters
story
in
because
video games.
it has those moments where you're just like, damn.
Yeah. And it's
Like
so
you're just
affecting
watching
when
it,
that stuff happens. That's what I'm saying. And I remember there was a moment when Dan was floundering. He was like, I don't know if I'm going to keep playing this game. He was about 15 hours in or something. Red Dead. He was 15 hours in. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to keep playing this game. And I was like, get to this point.
Oh, and that was the best part of the game.
It was
And that was the part.
2 or 3.
It's at the end of chapter 3 when
that
you're
whole
with the Braithwaite
last
Manor,
3,
and then
4
you
missions.
do the walk through town,
Oh,
and
man.
Sean gets killed and stuff.
Yeah.
That whole part is so incredible.
Yeah.
And it set me up, but this is why it's on our most disappointing list, because it set me up. I was like, this is my game. At that moment, I would have been like, boy, what's going to beat this game? This is incredible.
Yeah, but then you get 2
And then
you got 40 hours to go, and you're like-
Exactly. And then,
Exactly.
but some of it is so not good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just, it's very inconsistent, but I think on its highs, I think it carries it, into
does.
this.
I
3.
will say that it overcomes God of War in that sense.
All right, we're taking God of War off.
Yeah. Because
So now we have our top 3. I'm sorry to cut you off, Shelby.
No, go ahead.
We have Celeste, Wandersong, and Red Dead Redemption 2. So again, similar to our other categories, I'm gonna go ahead and say Red Dead is not gonna win this.
Yeah.
So we're gonna say between Celeste and Wandersong, what are we calling best narrative?
Oh, those are my.
It's up to you guys. Having
Well, no,
not
no,
played
You, of course-
Wandersong, I'm
you,
gonna
of
put
course,
Celeste
would
number
go
1.
Celeste,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna go Celeste number 1 because I'm behind on the other one.
I love Night in the Woods, and I love Wandersong, and those 2 games. There's
Intimately related.
because there's
they-
no
yeah.
gameplay really. There is, but there isn't. It's all you meet characters and you learn their stories, and there are just so many moments in Wandersong.
So it's narrative driven. I mean, that's
there's like 20 moments I could think
that's
of.
What I mean. As we were talking about Gris being art driven,
right.
You know, like if this is narrative driven,
I think
and it nails it.
I personally would say Wandersong is the best.
There's just like 20. There's like I could think of just
so many amazing moments. So many, and as a cohesive story. Like, you could read the story of it and be like, wow, it's fucking awesome.
It's a good story,
Like, it's just a
Maybe
great...
It's like a book or something.
It's a great overarching narrative as well as filled with these character moments and these little things here and there. I mean, personally think Wandersong...
If you guys say Wandersong, go for Wandersong. Like I said, I only put Celeste there because I didn't play Wandersong,
right.
You know?
And again, that's why the interesting thing is Celeste was our game of the year. But it has so much... I would say it's a better game than Wandersong, but they're very close. Mm-hmm. And I think it does... I mean, it has the satisfying gameplay that Wandersong doesn't have.
Yeah.
Right.
It's excellent, perfect platforming, gameplay, incredible. So many good ideas, the soundtrack.
I mean, balance,
But if we're talking, what's the best narrative of 2018?
I would agree with Wandersong. I think Celeste is the best package, but...
Yeah.
Wandersong, there's just...
I mean, between those 3 games, Celeste is easily the best package.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, so congratulations to Wandersong for being the best narrative of 2018. Runners-up, Celeste, and Red Dead Redemption 2. So now we are up to our final category. This is a tough one, and there are a lot of fucking things written here. Best soundtrack of 2018.
Here we go.
We have Celeste, Below, Florence, Grease, Into the Breach, Return of the Obra Dinn, Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War, Minute, Deltarune, The Messenger, and Astrobot Rescue Mission.
Oh, man.
This is going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
Boys, we're going to be here for a while.
It's going to be a tough one. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. These are some good soundtracks.
Which ones, me personally, there's probably like 3 that I can completely just... Astrobot, there's like one...
You talking about nixing or raising here?
Raising. That I was just...
You're like there's 3 specifically I can...
Where the music...
Do what
where
to?
the music where the music was just like, whoa.
Yeah, right.
I had that with Astrobot, the cave level, where I'm just focusing on my platforming, and I know where I'm just like, wait a second, I gotta listen to this music. It's so good.
I think I said the first time that I played it on our podcast, I was talking about like that song in the first level, like that was so good.
Yeah.
And I'm not somebody who goes in right away and pays attention to exactly like all the soundtracks and stuff like that. Usually when it pops out, I'm like,
that's it though.
This is a good soundtrack. Like when it pops out to me, I'm like, damn, this is cool.
I felt that way with Into the Breach. I felt that way with Celeste. Florence is another one I felt that with.
Florence, for sure.
Florence specifically, you need to play with headphones because it adds this whole other layer to it.
And now again, this is going to be so similar to our first category with game design. How there's a couple different ways to look at this. So soundtrack, we're talking about best soundtrack. Yeah. So this is like, it can also mean like how it plays in the game definitely matters. But you can also say, this is a soundtrack I would listen to outside of the game. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are different ways to look at it, and both are valid, but you need to consider both. You know what I'm saying?
Because otherwise, 4 is a 4.
Yeah.
Outside. Yeah. And I listen to all those outside anyway. Right. No, so I completely agree in the way that, like, Florence in particular uses the song. You're clicking on the little notes to get to the cellist in that first, chapter or 2. So that's a way where it uses music.
Similar Obra Dinn, where when you're solving a fate and it goes do do, like it does a little note, like it does little stingers of like, and then it just plays the whole thing together. Like that Obra Dinn is the epitome of it uses its music super well in the game. You know what I mean? Like it's essential. Like without that music, it wouldn't be as good of a game. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, I didn't play Below, but I've been listening to the Below soundtrack.
Yes.
We can't cut it yet.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Incredible.
It's so good, and that's I wasn't gonna nix it. It's so
incredible.
Good that I've like.
It's so good.
I haven't played it.
And without even playing it, and you're turning around, and being
listening to it, and like picturing,
music.
where would this be? Like, what kind of environment would be? Because it's not,
great.
There's no, it's not like a song, but it's got these like same way Into the Breach, it's just atmospheric and just creates this like sense of, where you are in the environment. So I think Below.
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But Red Dead 2 in the same ways. There's moments in Red Dead where
like we were saying before with the walk up to Braithwaite Manor, like you have that music going. Those little in between moments where you don't have to control Arthur on the ride and just the songs playing.
Well, Unshaken was the one, right?
Was that the
Caught it.
Nice.
I knew it was drifting. I could just hold it on. So
Are you sure?
It's fine, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry if that was a bad sound.
You gotta
for
sing.
you
You
guys
gotta start
out there.
crooning.
That's totally fine.
I'm not singing. But
Whenever.
you know that song, right?
That was the song
and you
with
know the
lyrics.
moment?
That was the...
Yeah. Oh, God. There were a bunch of songs with
I gotta
lyrics.
say, and Red Dead 1 did that well, too. Because, part of you thinks, like, that's gonna be cheesy and corny. Like,
Well, you're not getting that.
Yeah.
You're not getting Clint Eastwood
but
out here.
it does it really, really well.
Yeah.
It definitely does it really well. I would say, that's a hard one to cut. A lot of these are hard to cut. I would nominate God of War to be cut.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it was great in the game, but it's not really necessarily my cup of tea.
Like I was
don't
saying
think
before,
it's gonna hang with a lot of these.
There's nothing jumped out at me being like, oh, the music is good. Usually because I was so enveloped into the gameplay and the story that was going on.
Right.
But yeah, I would cut that one.
To me, that's what this, for me at least, that list is, for me personally, it's, I'm playing and then it's like, whoa. What is that?
Right.
It's
awesome. That's good.
What about The Messenger, though, dude?
Messenger 2's got great music.
Because it has incredible music, and then it also just, like, when it flips, and it just stays, like, when it flips from 8-bit to 16-bit and the music changes, it's, like,
cool.
Unbelievable.
That gimmick is, the way that we talk about, and I don't like using the word gimmick because I feel like it's like a derogatory sort of thing.
Not
but
always, though.
That's sort of...
derogatory. The game is hurting because you said it.
But like that's super cool. Changing from... Spoiler?
No.
Okay.
So we've said it like 4 times already.
8 to 16-bit, and then the music changes too. That is super, super cool. And I love that old retro,
Listen, 8-bit music is awesome.
It reminds me of like the old Mega Man games, or or the old, even Mario Brothers.
There's actually a channel on YouTube that takes like music that people love and turns it into 8-bit music.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I've seen that. I've seen they did like the Smiths.
Things.
They did like the whole Smiths first album.
Like 8-bit
8-bit
music is fantastic.
Yeah.
And even when it's not 8-bit music, if it's like going right into, The Messenger. You're talking about The Messenger. I haven't played that one, so I don't know in particular. I didn't get a chance.
The reason that it's interesting is because it goes from like 8-bit NES music, and then you flip to 16, and it sounds like a Sega Genesis. Like it has like the drums that you recognize
awesome.
from like
that era.
It's so evocative of that kind of stuff. But I think, in my opinion, it plays on the nostalgia a little too much.
I feel like that whole game is pure.
It is.
Game,
no, it is.
It
but what I'm saying is,
that...
it played like Deltarune has that 16-bit style music, but it's its own thing, and I think it's amazing.
I agree.
And then The Messenger, it's fucking great. Like I'm not detracting from the soundtrack, but I am saying in comparison, it's a little more like derivative and a little.
I know what you're saying. I'm
more fan servicey a little bit. It's not like it's fucking awesome, but
the reason all these games are awesome. That's why there's 20 games on this freaking list.
Exactly.
They're all winners.
And that's hard, man, because even right now we have 10 games on here, and I don't know what to cut. We cut God of War. We cut The Messenger.
Right.
Now we have Celeste, Below, Florence, Gris, Into the Breach, Return to the Obra Dinn, Red Dead Redemption 2, Minute, Deltarune, Astrobot Rescue Mission.
What do you think about Minute? Do you think Minute has the same thing that The Messenger has? It's playing on...
It does, but man, that soundtrack is good.
Again, it's awesome.
That shit
totally
slaps.
I know. It's cool.
Oh, it's really good. I hear you. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would say is I would take Gris off this list. But
I was going to ask you what you guys thought.
But what I was going to say is the part where she starts singing again.
That's pretty cool.
Is so cool.
I know. Yeah, because it's actually it's actually very just quiet for most of
Well, the music's great though.
The music's great. Yeah.
It's like.
But when she gets her voice back and she starts singing with
the music, that's a powerful moment.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And that adds to the game.
Yeah.
The way that Florence, the music adds to the emotions involved. For me, Florence, the music hit me from like the beginning, and I have a hard time taking that off.
I just look at the rest of the list, and I don't. I'm not saying we have to take it off right now, but there's some heavy hitters. I think it might come off. I think, honestly, I could be swayed the minute could come off compared to some of these.
Compared to some of the others, yeah.
It's so good, though.
though.
If you listen to that soundtrack, it's
so
really
good.
strong.
We could take Minute and Florence off if you want.
You sure?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Me and Florence, we're going to go out later, so I'll make it up to her.
I'm telling your girlfriend. All right, we have Celeste, Below.
She doesn't watch these, so
Dave's coming in single.
Celeste,
I love you.
Below, Into the Breach, Return of the Obra Dinn, Red Dead Redemption 2, Deltarune, and Astrobot Rescue Mission.
So sell me on Into the Breaches, because I don't remember the soundtrack to that one quite as well.
Reminds me very Below-ish, where it's just super ambient.
Similar to Below, but I don't think much can touch Below, honestly. Like I would take Into the Breach off this list, even though I really, really like it. This is like a super strong list.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really hard. And when I say, like, if I'm looking at 4 of these games and we need to make it 3, I don't know which one to do, and I don't think Into the Breach is one of them.
I do think Into the Breach, though, in the way that Red Dead did, it adds this layer of...
Yes.
It
adds to the game.
It adds to the game.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it's very
so
sparse, and it's just... It just fits perfectly to the world.
And it's good, yeah. And each area has unique music, like... Yeah, some of them is like really like space western-y.
I'm just going to sing it for you,
and some
actually.
of it's awesome.
Love it.
It is so good.
that's okay. Like you said, it's a strong list.
So now we have 6.
Okay.
We have Celeste, Below, Return of the Obra Dinn, Red Dead Redemption 2, Deltarune, and Astrobot Rescue Mission.
Damn.
Now, I know you guys are going to disagree, but I think if we're talking about best soundtrack, I don't think Astrobot hangs on these.
Okay.
I don't think it has...
I just love the music, though.
It's awesome.
The music is fantastic, even in the regular menu and everything like that when you're waiting to go. It's absolutely incredible, but I don't think it has enough depth. Whereas, like, there are 1 or 2 songs where I'm like, oh, this is so good for those 1 or 2 songs. Yeah. And then the other ones kind of fall into a space where then I was locked into gameplay, and I didn't get that emotion.
Also, they do repeat on different levels, have the same song.
For sure.
A bunch of
Dude,
them.
that cave theme, though, in the cave level,
So
the first
good.
cave level, I was
So
just like,
good.
this is awesome.
Some of the first,
That's a tough cut,
boss
man.
fight, like it is a tough cut. It's hard.
Now we're down to 5.
Because it had that like poppiness to it, whereas like I'll never forget the first time I played Ratchet and Clank going to Metropolis and that song. I will never forget that song. Like that's I kind of had that feeling with that first song, but that's it.
Right.
It's hard cut, but great soundtrack.
And now what do we do?
So what's the list left?
Celeste, Below, Return of the Obra Dinn, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Deltarune.
We haven't talked about Celeste yet.
That's because Celeste needs to be in the top.
It's so
It's
good.
so good.
So let's look at something we were talking about before about how the music not only is great on its own, but also helps the gameplay move forward in a sense.
Celeste, man.
No, I know. So I mean, Celeste does that. Obra Dinn does that. I think Red Dead does that. Below does that. It's tough.
But Deltarune, the first time you get into a battle in Deltarune, and that music kicks in, it's so awesome. We're like,
reminiscent of that Final Fantasy.
and it makes that noise in the beginning. Where it's like, shing, and then they split up to 3, and it's the first time you realize, look at this system, look at this battle system. Like it's not like Earthbound anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's doing a different thing, and the music is so good.
Guys,
so that's what I mean. All these games fall on that, I guess,
give
too.
Up? Do we just say
it's tough?
Absolutely not. We never give up.
Never surrender.
I don't know, dude.
What are we basing this off of? Like you said, are we basing it enhances the...
Well, I think starting
it's both. It depends on how you weigh it.
The 15 that we did, we kind of broke it down to those game enhancing soundtracks, That
well,
also,
even if it doesn't though, that's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no such thing as non-game enhancing great music. Like there's no such thing. It's about how intimately it's tied to the game is what we're talking about. But that's not even necessarily the independent thing we're concerned with.
Oh, what do we take off? We have 5. You got to take off 2.
Yeah.
All right, you guys.
The rough part is, and the truth of it is, I think Return of the Obra Dinn, even though the music is so integral to that game and it's amazing, and the fact that Lucas Pope made the music,
a one-man show.
He made this music,
Yeah.
the orchestra. He did that. Doesn't make any sense to me. This guy did everything in this game. It's ridiculous.
That's incredible.
But like when we're talking about best soundtracks, like I think that's more of a best use of music. And I like this music, like it's great, but when you're looking at Celeste, Below, Deltarune, Red Dead, like I think it's kind of the odd man out here. What do you guys think?
All right.
Cut him.
I love the other one, so
One more cut.
Deltarune, Red Dead, Celeste, and Below. I gotta tell you, I haven't played Below.
I think Below has to stay.
I love Below.
Personally.
I think so too.
I think
Below has to stay.
I just don't see. I'm telling you guys, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna cut Deltarune, and you're gonna listen to the soundtrack when you get home, and you're gonna be like, "Why the fuck did we cut this? Because it's amazing. It's so good."
Red Dead? I mean, personally, I like Deltarune's soundtrack more than I like Red Dead's. I think Red Dead adds a lot, to the environment. But I do personally like Deltarune more than Red Dead soundtrack wise, for sure.
It's hard to cut Red Dead though because
I kind of feel
really
it's like there are just those moments where you get to finally, after this huge battle or whatever you did, you get to sit back and watch.
Oh yeah,
this cinematic motion go
for
off
sure.
with this music that's just like entrancing, like.
I mean, so what do you guys say? I mean,
that's tough. I think it is personally between those two because I think Below and Celeste need to stay on this list.
I would agree.
So it's a tough cut. Here we go. Let's put it this way. It's a super tough cut. I'm going to throw Red Dead there. You throw Deltarune there. We're going to make Dan make the hard choice.
We're going to cut Red Dead.
Okay. Then
really?
Deltarune stays.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deltarune is that good, guys. I'm telling you.
Wait, we both played it.
No, I know.
I just
but I'm saying, like, I've listened to it outside a lot, and it's like really
I've done the same thing with
I haven't
Celeste
played through
Below.
its entirety, so I haven't heard everything from it, so yeah.
But I feel like with Below, not having played Below, no kidding, at least 3 times in my long car rides, I've just put on the soundtrack and just listened to it.
It's really good.
It's that good.
Even though it is that good, it can't beat Celeste. I don't think it beats Celeste. Celeste
I'll agree with that.
But also for its just use of, there's just it. Again, I love the narrative and narrative-driven games, and it just adds this like feeling of just
that's
why
it's in this category. That's why it's here.
Too. But for me, just specifically Celeste, and I think I said it in when you bring soundtracks up, the 3 games I thought of, Celeste was one of those games. I think I've actually said 5 games, but whatever. But Celeste was the one game on there that was just like that.
Yeah. It needs to be there.
I remember
agree.
that.
All right.
I will agree with that.
Congratulations, Celeste. You had the best soundtrack of 2018 with Below and Deltarune as the runners-up. So that is the end of our supplemental awards for 2018. I'm going to run through all of them again. We started with Best Game Design. Into the Breach is the winner with Return of the Obra Dinn and God of War runners-up. Best Art Direction, Gris was the winner with God of War and Return of the Obra Dinn as runners-up. Biggest Disappointment, Sea of Thieves was the winner with A Way Out and Red Dead Redemption 2 as the runners-up. Best Narrative, we had Wander Song as the winner with Celeste and Red Dead Redemption 2 runners-up. And finally, Best Soundtrack, we have Celeste as the winner with Below and Deltarune as the runners-up. So that's what we thought about 2018.
I think we also get best podcasters for the year, right?
Yeah,
definitely. And the best smelling.
In the category starts with Circle Back Gaming.
Exactly.
Yes.
So those were the Circle Back Gaming Supplemental Game of the Year awards. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shelby.
I try.
And we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Peace. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching and or listening. Just here to remind you that you can find us by searching for Circle Back Podcast or Circle Back Gaming on any of these podcast services: Anchor, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, or Stitcher. By God, I'm out of breath because of all these podcast services, but you can find us anywhere there. Also, you can find our video version on YouTube by searching Circle Back Podcast or Circle Back Gaming, and the rest of the videos we do. Thanks, guys.